you've got a significant challenge, which we also have at CAMH, which is that I suspect academics are much like perhaps researchers and perhaps physicians in my context, who don't really consider themselves to work for anybody. They have their own kind of enterprise of the teaching and the research and all of the important things that they do, and they're certainly trained to be and practicing as independent experts and professionals and so on. And so it's more of a challenge to enable them to do all of that, but also get them onto your agenda. And I would say some of those skills that I learned at WLU might stand you in good stead. Have you taken the community psychology course?
We're both back there.
Getting people to engage in talking about what the common agenda needs to be. So what are the things people need to do together? And what are the things they can keep doing by themselves?
I'm thinking more generally because bureaucracy, if I could put it in that term, is a very broad category, and there's a lot of people who are going to end up in it.
Yeah, I sometimes get accused of being a bureaucrat, and you know, you just try to stay away from having too many forms that have to be approved by too many people and that sort of thing. Or, you know, get those things regularized and get somebody else to deal with them. And then, you know, you can get on with the important thing of getting people to do the things that they need to do that you can be valuable to. I mean, that's actually serious advice for, for true bureaucrats in government, you do have to learn the process. That's what it's all about. And it's a very valuable lesson to learn because there are processes at different levels, and what we all make fun of in terms of those forms that need to be filled out can actually be quite important. I mean, the policy that we all live by, like this economic statement that you heard yesterday from the government, that would have gone through a lot of levels of sign-off, because every ministry in the government would have to know what's going to be said and what the implications are for them. So in those ways, bureaucracy is important, where it comes to true accountability and those kinds of things. And you know, it's the learning experience of it, and then how do you turn the process to your own advantage to make it work for the organization and for the people who are involved.
This term I'm teaching an applied social psychology course, and there are 50-some students in there, some of whom I'm hoping have a passion for this sort of work in terms of policy making and mental health issues, I'm wondering if you could give some advice from a practical point of view, some instrumental advice concerning courses in and outside of psychology you think might be useful for such a career path, and some of the varying graduate programs that people that you're working with may have gone through, other than community psychology.
I can answer the latter better than the former, because I don't know what courses are being offered these days. I can only speak again to the skills that I've looked for in people. But some of the other kinds of programs that people come through are public health and population health and those kinds of things I'm familiar with because we're so linked with U of T. And I've had a couple of people that I've tried to encourage to do the PhD in community psych, because I think that would really help them with some of the things that I want them to do and that they think they want to do. But they actually turn to the School of Public Health, so there are some programs like that that I know of that are that address some of the same issues, so the population health issues and prevention and promotion and those kinds of things. I think there are some health sciences programs that do that kind of stuff as well. So if you're looking at prevention and health promotion and applied social, I think those are just some of the things that I'm aware of. As far as other courses,
business courses or philosophy.
Philosophy
kind of general.
Yeah. Philosophy is helpful because, again, it develops your critical thinking skills and analytical and synthesizing kinds of skills. I think there are courses now in communications that might be helpful. I don't know. I'm not sure. That didn't really exist when I was here. But again, knowing how to write good policy tracts and advocacy pieces is really, like journalism skills could be important, for example. Business skills, it helps. I wish I knew more about balance sheets and all that kind of stuff, so it's helpful to be able to understand the money. Effective policy, follow the money, it's important. So knowing how to do that would be good. And the stats courses and the methods courses are key. If you don't know where, like we're now trying to teach a lot of this knowledge exchange stuff, we're trying to teach people who are doing program consulting work in communities how to evaluate stuff, and that's methods and stats. You've got to know where the data comes from, or else you can't be critical, and you can't use it critically. So those kinds of things are very important. And knowing about the world, like the importance of history and context. Like, you know, I take a lot of things to committees or to, you know, the executive committee in the hospital, and what I have to say to even some very senior people in my organization is, what's the context for this? Don't come and ask for a decision about what was the one today, what role we should be playing as an organization with the Toronto Central Lynn, without saying who else is involved in that, what their agendas are, what they want out of it, those kinds of things. So understanding the role of history and how the world fits together is important too. And the other thing is mental health, even today, it's also one of the things we're talking about that's a huge gap, is mental health and addictions keeps defining itself as separate. And that doesn't do anybody any good. We got to be part of the rest of, we are part of the rest of the system. And the comorbidities with cardiac problems, with cancer, with like the relationship between mental health problems, addictions, and other kinds of health problems and community problems is not talked about, well, you know, very much, because we don't make ourselves part of it. I don't sit on a committee with heart surgeons and with, you know, I sit on public health committees and that sort of thing, but we have to be much more part of the world, and just developing that specialized knowledge and being superior at it isn't going to do it.
Are there internship or co-op opportunities at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health?
Well, there are indeed. In fact, we do an orientation every month at CAMH for the new people who join the organization, and there are about 50 people at each one, just so you know. And at each one of those, somebody from the senior management goes to welcome people to the organization. I did it last month, and we always go around the room and everybody introduces themselves, all 50 people. And half of them were psychology interns. Who knew? I said, you can't possibly be psychology interns, you're all too young, but turns out they were. So, yeah. So there are those kinds of opportunities. I don't know enough about things like fellowships and those things. There are co-op opportunities. We certainly do a lot of placements for students. Co-op opportunities, I don't think so. But internships, yes. Fellowships, yes.
I wanted to pick up on something you said a few minutes ago. Why do you think there is such a disconnect between physical health and mental health? Why is it acceptable to have a cold, but it's not acceptable to be depressed in some way?
Well, it's stigma. It's just, there's a judgment about that. There's the whole moral judgment piece. I mean, we've done it to ourselves in some ways in the field. That's why I used the example that health professionals are the worst stigmatizers. We say things about our clients and our patients that are the worst of other people. It's bad in the health system generally, and it's stigma. It's that moral judgment, you know, this is your own fault. There's something you can do about it. We don't talk about it. It's unknown. It affects your brain, you know, all those kinds of things. And we know a lot more. Again, knowledge exchange. And I have to say, this was a theme when I